Who did you like?
Well, I initially, the first one that I ever watched was Tom Cry when he
Yeah.
was on. And then Elmer is a frequent visitor at the commission, so I watched his for sure. I of course watched Mayor Davis's, so they were all very good, and I saw Charlotte on here as well.
Everybody likes Elmer.
I know
What
it.
is it about him that everybody? I mean, I like him.
Yeah, he's just got a colorful personality, and then he walks in with that tie-dye outfit from head to
And
toe.
the hat. You ever seen him without his hat on?
I have. He's come to the commission meeting a couple times and didn't have it on, or when he was walking in, he was putting it on. So
He's smart, isn't he?
he is a very smart man. Yes.
But I guess the more weird you look or odd, the more people think that you're not smart.
People judge you definitely by the way that you look often, so it's sad that they do that. But once you take the time to talk to him, he's a great guy.
You think the better people look, the more influential they are?
I don't think that necessarily. I think sometimes if you look a certain way, people don't take you seriously.
But
And-
would the opposite be true? If you look like you're intelligent, then people would take you intelligent?
I guess if you initially judge a book by its cover, you may do that, but I think you need to invest in talking to people before you make that judgment.
That's a hard thing to do, isn't it? To change your views after you've made them.
Right.
It's always very difficult.
It is.
It takes like twice the effort.
It does. That's right.
Did you say you went to Shane's Rib Shack this morning?
I did. We actually went there after church today. We initially had gone to Loopy's, but they were closed. And so we went to Shane's Rib Shack in Ooltewah because we go to church in McDonald. We go to Heritage Fellowship.
Where's it located?
It's right there at the end of US 11. And so if you're going to Ooltewah, kind of the back way towards Bendabout, it's right there.
On the right? Isn't there a Coptic Christian church there too, further down?
Oh, I don't know. But Steve and Teresa Gilbert are our pastors, and we've gone there forever. So,
Yeah.
but today we decided that we were going to have Shane's when Loopy's was closed. So,
So you just went the back way to. A lot of people that live down that far shop in Ooltewah.
they do. They do.
Is it closer to you from your house to go to Ooltewah and shop than it is?
Oh, no. I live all the way down Spring Place Road, almost on the Georgia line. So it's a good little haul for us to go to church out there.
You live in Valley View then, right?
We do, yes.
Cedar Springs.
Well, I'm actually Old Fort and Spring Place. So
Is that
past
Buck's
Valley
Pocket?
View. In between Buck's Pocket. So Valley View, and then Buck's Pocket's just a little bit further down the road from me.
Million. Is there a Million Lane?
I don't know.
I ride bikes sometimes, and we'll go all the way down to where you're talking about.
Okay.
Cedar Springs, and then come back up Spring Place.
Okay. So we've owned property out there for probably 15 years, but built a house out there about 8 years ago.
That's the Indians like that area
Oh, did they?
because red clay.
Yeah. Well, I love living out there. We have 11 acres, and we're about to buy some neighbors of ours are selling their property, so we're going to buy 22 acres, so we'll have a total of 33, so we're excited. I mean, it's quiet, and you can sit on the back porch and have the deer just come up right there, and it's just neat.
You feed them?
We put a salt block out there for them to come so that we can watch them.
Does now the McDonald area? That's you're really not McDonald. You're more almost Old Fort.
Right. My address is actually Old Fort, yes.
Old Fort, Tennessee. I wonder where that gets that name.
I don't know. It would be interesting to research why
Yeah.
they named it that. But in terms of districting and talking about county commission, McDonald is in my district, so that's still part of the 6th district.
It's like a fan or something.
It is.
Yeah. But you're originally from Chattanooga, right?
I am, yes.
What part of Chattanooga?
So I grew up in Hickson.
went to high school, Hickson High School?
I did not. I went to Chattanooga School for the Arts and Sciences.
Was you going to be an artist?
No. I mean, I just happened to end up at school there, and interesting philosophy. It's a magnet school in Chattanooga, and it's a Paideia philosophy school. So art and literature was their main focus. So when it came time to do English or social studies, we didn't necessarily use a textbook. We would read a particular genre of literature and kind of dissect it and do all of the lessons that way. So it was pretty cool.
Why do they take certain literatures and try to dissect it? Because everybody's got a different opinion about what they were saying.
And so we would have a discussion about that because everybody had a different opinion about what the author was trying to state. And so that's how we learned to, accept other people's viewpoints as well as ours.
Even though it may be different.
Right.
Like Edgar Allan Poe, like The Raven.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he was high on cocaine at the time, or was he just really thinking?
Probably just really thinking. But it was a great way to learn, and.
But did he think that the crow was really Lenore?
I don't know.
It says, is it the angel or is it the angel Lenore?
Right.
He was wondering if that was his girlfriend that died.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you one way or the other.
But to dissect somebody's art is really like looking at an abstract painting, and people say, well, he's saying this and he's saying that.
Right.
It's just an opinion, right?
And that's what we did. We did a lot of artwork as well. So it was fun, and it helped prepare me for things that I do now. I have to listen to people's opinion on the commission, and so it helps me in conversation with them, listening to what they have to say, even though I may disagree with them. So I think it prepared me for what I'm doing now.
Just having discussions with the other classmates
Right.
about what somebody's thinking.
Right.
But the idea was never to be an artist.
No. It's just where I ended up going to high school. So.
And so how did you get to Cleveland?
I met my husband, James. He was from Cleveland. So we met when I was 18. I was at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. And so we started dating, and I moved up here.
You like it here?
I do. I love it.
Better than Hickson?
Well, I just grew up in Hickson. I wasn't necessarily really involved in the community there. And so as soon as I came to Cleveland, I started getting involved in different things.
You were fairly young then when you came to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. I was 18. Yes. So I ended up graduating with a bachelor's degree from the University of Tennessee. It's in marketing. And then my mom and I actually started a pet bakery and boutique in Chattanooga called Four Paws and a Tail.
Where is that located?
It was in Chattanooga on East Brainerd Road. If you were going towards the back way to Ooltewah, there is the Dodge City Liquor Store. There was a barbecue store. So it was right there on East Brainerd Road. And we had that for several years.
Seems like I remember that, and it was in a pretty new building.
It was in a strip center.
A new strip center.
It was.
Yeah. So you would groom the dogs?
We did. We learned how to groom the dogs, and Starbucks actually picked up some of our treats in East Brainerd, so they would give them out to the dogs as they would come through the drive-through. So we did that for a little while, but I still was kind of searching for something else to do, and one day I decided I was going to go put in an application at Bradley County Schools just to be a substitute or something. And I started working with the special education department there. And then they offered me a full-time position, and I got a grant to go back to school and get my master's degree. Since I had an undergraduate in business, they were actually looking at the time for teachers that they could, or they were looking for people that had degrees in a different area to become teachers. So I was able to apply for that program and got my master's degree at Lee University.
But now you're Tri-State Trucking.
TriStar.
TriStar.
Yes. So James had always been in the trucking industry, and I'd always done the accounting portion of that for him. And then we decided in 2019 that we were going to switch things up and become a certified DBE company. And that means that you're a woman-owned company in a construction field, or you're the minority because you're woman-owned. So we switched everything over in 2019 and changed the name to TriStar.
Is there any advantages to that?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Like what would there be?
Well, on state contracts, so if you're going to work for the state of Tennessee, or really any state at this point, because they all have DBE certifications, they have to have a certain percentage on the contract of DBE contractors. So we are able to apply for those specific jobs based on the fact that we're a DBE company.
Are you bidding against other DBE companies? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or is there any? So you might be the low bid, but you're not a DBE, I guess, right?
Well, in certain parts of the contract, they only allow those DBE companies to bid. So yes, I'm bidding against other DBE companies, and then obviously they're going to take the lowest bidder.
Of the DBE
Correct.
companies, not of all the.
Correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's complicated, isn't it?
It is.
So you have to do an LLC.
We were already an LLC before we switched everything over. We just changed the LLC name, and then we changed our official name to TriStar.
You know, LLCs are complicated, aren't they?
They are.
Boy.
I don't know anything about it. We hired a lawyer to do all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To set it up?
Yes.
But you have to do the reporting every year.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Fill out the forms.
Mm-hmm.
It's very complicated.
Right.
I don't know if being an LLC is worth it.
I guess it gives you that extra layer of protection. So
I just get more insurance.
I know. I get more insurance.
I guess
too
it's
every
the
year.
same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I hope. But so living down in Spring Place, I used to go there a lot as a kid. They used to have Cedar Springs convenience store, and you can go the back way to Polk County and to Old Fort, which is Old Fort is like an unincorporated area of Benton, I guess, right?
No, we're still in Bradley County now.
But I mean, the Old Fort. Let's see. How does it? I thought Old Fort was in Benton.
Well, I don't know how it works, but I do cross over that line that says "Welcome to Bradley County," but we're still included in Bradley County where we live. We're just right on the line. So,
Right.
I've always asked that question too because we have that Old Fort name
And address.
and address.
It's like if you live on the north end of Cleveland, they'll give you an address of Charleston, but you're not really in Charleston.
Right.
It's always
You're still
confusing.
in Bradley County.
You
Mhm.
can't confuse the address with where you're at.
Right. Right.
You know, I was thinking the other day, when will mailboxes go out of business?
I don't know.
Because you get, you get a lot of. I always get every time I get a bill from a supplier, they'll email me, and then they'll send me a hard copy, and it'll ask, "Do you want to get all your bills emailed?" I'm afraid I'll forget them.
Well, I'm kind of old school. I like everything printed off, and
too.
I don't
feel it.
like an email bill. I don't like email, period, because I have so many.
And you don't know what's going to spam.
Right, right.
It could go to you're supposed to check your email and your spam. And then you got to click on it to see if you can print it in the form that they sent it.
Right. I want you to mail me a bill. always.
Yeah.
Because that's the way I keep up with everything. I mean, I don't know how many emails you have, but I have about 50,000. So.
Well, I have to clear mine. I cleared mine Friday. I had to because I was getting up to the 97% of something.
Right.
So I couldn't even bring I finally went ahead and deleted everything from 2013 and older.
You have a lot more than I do.
Because you don't know what you might need.
Right. Right.
And if you use what they're trying to do is get you to use that as your filing system. So you have to keep buying space.
That's true.
But I like the hard copy. And if you bill a customer, say, where's the invoice? Well, here's the one I got. It's on my email.
Yes.
But if they keep doing that, and how about these people that send Christmas cards through an email?
That's interesting. Now, I don't know that I've gotten that many. I think I got 2 or 3 last year, but I like real Christmas cards too because I like to save them and, put them up during the season.
Where do you put them?
Well, I usually put them in the windowsill, so whenever I walk by there,
Well, if the blinds are up or down, you have to keep your blinds up?
Well, I keep them up, and then I put them all, and then I have a counter that I just kind of spill them over into, so it's just like Christmas as you walk by.
You stand them up?
Mm-hmm.
What if you get it from a supplier that's just got a stamped name on it, and it's just a generic one? You throw it away or you keep it?
Yeah, I don't like those necessarily. I mean, I like the ones that show families and, picture collages of the things that they've done over the past year.
I've got this friend of mine from Polk County, and he sends a letter out every Christmas with a summary of what their family did.
That's good.
I think that's what they used to do years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he quit that about 2 years ago.
Did you ask him why?
I asked him why, and he said he just hadn't done it. And I thought, sort of miss it.
Mm-hmm. People are so busy these days, they
Boy,
just run
they
out of
are.
time.
God, they're busy. You'd think that with emails and text and everything that we would have more time, but it just feels the time available somehow.
It really does.
And it's like even microwave ovens. You'd think this would all save time, but it just allows us to do more. And if everybody's got it, then you're not gaining any time on the competition.
Right.
And then you deal with these guys that say, oh, I don't know how to text. Well, how are you going to deal with them?
Well, I have some of those that work for me that they come in and they say, I don't really know how to use this phone, because we all are going to technology. So the way they clock in and out is on an app. They don't even know how to download an app. And it's not because they're not smart. It's just because they just don't know how to use the phone.
Well, but that is really, to hear somebody say that, I think, well, you've not tried it one time because it's that easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's that easy. Like if you tell somebody, somebody says, oh, I heard about that thing you're doing, but I don't know how to do it. Well, you have to go to YouTube. I don't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you type in YouTube.
Right.
It's too simple.
Although the easiest way to find you is through Facebook, because I did type in the discussion and YouTube, and it didn't really bring it up in the search engine.
Under what?
Whenever I typed in the discussion and Dee Burris. And so the easiest way to find how to watch the show is to go to Facebook. So it is harder whenever you're just doing a Google search.
Well, if you go to the discussionocoy.com, that's the version on there.
Okay.
But if you just typed in Dee Burris, it'd pop it up then too.
In Google?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I must have been doing something wrong. It must have been my rural broadband internet
Might have
problems
been,
that
might
I have.
But do you think that, think about this, isn't internet almost isn't it a utility?
It absolutely is. At this point.
What's your explanation of why it is? Just so I can see if you're thinking the same way I am.
Well, In terms of thinking of a utility, and I've had this discussion with Commissioner Mylan Blake quite often, in terms of a utility, you think, okay, you have water and electricity. Those are things that you need to basically survive these days. Well, internet's the same way. I mean, you have so many things that you have to have access to via the internet.
To survive.
I mean, it's not a basic survival, but in terms of running a business or having a student at home, or
Maybe it's becoming a basic survival tool.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Because they could have had the same argument on water
Mm-hmm.
at one time. They could have said, and we all know water is a basic survival tool.
right.
But when people had wells, they probably had this same argument.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for people to be able to get on the internet and search something is a basic utility to survive today.
Well, because we're so information based, we need this basic information of, okay, what's the weather today? I mean, you could turn on the TV, but what are you going to grab? The remote these days, or are you going to grab your phone to check the weather?
Well, if you're going to apply for a job and they only accept online applications?
Right, right.
Or what if you're going to apply for utilities and they only have online applications and you don't have the internet or you don't have a cable?
Mm-hmm. So you said that you feel like that internet is a utility as well?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it
tell me
is.
why.
Well, the same reason you is because it is a necessity to exist in our society today.
Mm-hmm.
I think anything that is necessary to exist in our society today is a utility.
Right.
Whether that be whatever.
Well, and we've worked very hard to get broadband internet in Bradley County. And, you know, for a long time, the FCC has a map that shows that Bradley County is pretty well served in the broadband areas. But whenever you kind of investigate that further, you find out that it's not, because the FCC does census blocking. So the way that they determine what they show on their map is if you have a block of homes and homes on the very front of the block have service, they're going to count the entire block as served. And so you're basically leaving out all kinds of families. So we did a speed test. It was so fun. Professor Sridhar from the University of Tennessee Extension Office came down from Knoxville, and we did a speed test of the entire Bradley County and wrote down where had good access and where did not, and we created our own map, and then we sent home some surveys to elementary school students and their families. Basically filled out, do you have access at your home? Yes or no, what kind of devices are you using? And then we got with the GIS mapping here in Bradley County, and we created our own map to present in terms of getting grant funding for expansion of Bradley County broadband services. So we're trying to get it to families.
Did you get the grant?
We did. We partnered with VEC, and we got a grant. The area that they're targeting whenever they get the fiber is going to be the Chatta Valley area. So the problem now isn't money in expanding broadband. You know, 10 years ago, people just didn't have enough funding. But now the state has given funding, the federal government has given funding. Bradley County is going to receive $21 million in federal funding. And the majority of that is going to be allocated to broadband, but we don't have workers and we can't get the materials at this point to lay the fiber down.
So you're going to have to go in front of people's yard and dig up and put a fiber optic line, I guess.
Well, VEC will do that, yes.
What
When
about-
they can get the fiber.
What about Starlink? Isn't that supposed to solve all that?
So that's Elon Musk, right?
Yeah.
It is. But I don't really know in terms of when availability is going to be to this area. I actually went on and put my address in, and they said it was going to be a year out. So it's a good idea, but it's also down the road. And in today's world, people want everything right now. Right now, they don't understand that government is slow.
And it may not happen.
And it
You
may
never
not
know.
happen. And by the time you get to being able to purchase the fiber, you may have some new technology,
That's true.
and it may be obsolete. So everything just moves so quickly.
Boy, that's almost its own project right there, isn't
It
it?
really is.
Why did you want to spearhead that?
Because I don't have good broadband access at my house. I mean, I live all the way down Spring Place Road. I have satellite internet right now, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to afford the satellite internet. It's pretty expensive. It's $100 a month.
What do you get with that?
Well, it says that you get unlimited, but they throttle it towards the end of the month, and then you're not able to do anything.
Is that how you watch TV too?
Yes.
So you have satellite TV,
Mm-hmm.
and when you change channels, it has that little stall, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And then when it rains, you have nothing.
That drives me crazy.
And you have no cell service when it rains out there, because we run off the Wi-Fi the majority of the time to have better service. But like I said, once you get to the end of the month, they're throttling it, and I'm like, hey, can you hear me? Hey, can you hear me? And the call drops.
And you're dealing with truckers
Right.
that are out in. Now, what is TriStar? What do you truck?
So we have dump trucks, and so we haul aggregates, or we haul asphalt, or basically anything that we can put in the bed of the dump truck.
So you just a general trucking company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like who do you haul asphalt for?
We haul asphalt for local companies like Caldwell Paving and Wright Brothers, and
Scott Thompson.
no, we don't necessarily do much for him. He has his own dump trucks, so. But
Dirt.
we haul dirt. We haul to neighborhoods, or
Mulch.
we can haul mulch.
So if somebody calls and said, we need a truckload of mulch from Jackie Evans, is you drive and get it and take it to them?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done lots of business with Jackie Evans. He's been very good to us.
How many trucks do you have?
We have 14 currently, and then just like everything else in the world, COVID has delayed any additional new dump trucks being made because of all of their little microchips that are made in China. So to order a new dump truck right now, you're looking at June of 2022. And that's not, we mainly run Mack dump trucks, but that's not for just Macks, that's for Kenworths or anybody else.
And the damage that those trucks take, you're apt to get some out of service by then.
Well, we take good care of ours, and they're all pretty new. So we've decided that investing in new equipment is better than running older equipment where you have to worry about breakdowns and downtime.
Where do you keep the trucks at?
So currently we keep them at our shop. It's also on Spring Place, but we're about to build another shop and move everything there. So we're kind of in the works with that. But everybody's backed up in the construction industry.
Everybody is backed up. It's absolutely, if you're not in it, you have no clue how backed up everybody is.
Right.
And if you wanted something new today, they just don't understand how far backed up everybody is.
And then you have the other problem that everybody's experiencing, not just in construction, but workers. I took my son the other morning. I dropped my girls off first, and then I take him on to middle school. And I said, hey, buddy, we've got time for breakfast. Do you want to get something? And he said, sure. And so we were driving down in Bojangles. He said, we saw Bojangles. And he said, I think I want to eat there. So we pulled in. They're closed.
They're closed.
They have a sign. They can't get enough workers. So, fast food isn't fast food anymore. Even if they're open, it's taken a good little bit to get anything because they're short-staffed. So I'm the same way with dump truckers and dump truck drivers.
I don't know what's going to happen. I've never seen nothing like it. I've got a job I'm waiting on. I can't get commodes, microwaves, blinds, certain shelving boards, hinges for the cabinets, concrete, and that's just the stuff I can't get.
Right.
I can't even get them if I had people to install them. And those little peepholes in doors,
Oh, yeah.
you can't get them.
Why is that?
I don't know. They don't have them. I needed 21. They had 4.
Well,
It's something somewhere down the line, something they can't. And the concrete companies have been on 3 days a week because they can't get the actual concrete. I think now they're back on 5 days, but everybody's behind. And this heat really slows things down a little bit, at least through August, just a little bit. But you add all those things together, and I don't know, the economy's going to be bad before everybody gets what they want.
well, it's going to be bad, and then all the stuff that you want that's been on back order, it's going to show up.
Yeah, when we won't need it.
Right. Right.
Do you have your office at your house?
Yes, currently I work from there because, my kids are home in the summers and it's just easier for me to do all of my paperwork there. So I have a little room where I do all of my billing. So I'm responsible for all that too. I do all of the check writing and all of the invoicing and.
Do you invoice from, do you use like QuickBooks or something?
Mm-hmm.
And you print checks, or do you use that Mercer ink?
No, I handwrite all of my checks. So I don't run it through the computer or anything like that. I like to.
But if you do QuickBooks, then you have to push that button that says you'll write the check. You don't want to.
Correct.
Why don't you just print a check? You're like me.
I just like to handwrite the check, and I know in my head that it's done. And if I'm trying to think back to, did I write that check? Did I do that? I mean, I can almost see that I've written it, so I just know it's done.
I don't believe that'll ever change with us, do you?
I don't think so.
I don't know if the new generation will get to where they don't have to write it, but I have to. I'll charge something on a credit card, and I even write the check right then to the credit card, so that I've.
So that you remember that you've paid for it.
Yeah, and so I can have a real paper trail.
Mm-hmm.
So I really get crazy with that stuff. But it's really easier if you get a sit. I don't believe it saves any time not doing it another way.
I don't think so. I just like to handwrite them.
What time? When do you get calls real early in the morning and say we need you to bring this over here?
The day usually starts about 5:45 in terms of phone calls and making sure that everybody's going where they're supposed to go and doing what they're supposed to do. But I try and have everything booked a day ahead of time so that the guys know where they're going. But yeah, I mean, people call and say, hey, can you bring this? And I'll say, no, not today, but it'll be a couple days out. So, I mean, we're definitely on a schedule, and we're definitely several days in terms of booking things.
Do the guys meet at your house, or where do they meet?
Yeah, they meet at the shop part.
Yeah.
So.
They drink coffee before they leave?
Oh, I'm sure.
So what do they leave out, about 7 or 7:30 or
Oh,
something?
no. I mean, we're in the truck ready to go at 6 o'clock. So they get there between 5:30 and 5:45.
So you're up.
Absolutely. Making sure they're ready to go. And then we have some night shift jobs too. We're actually doing a night shift job this week. Probably not Tuesday and Wednesday since we're getting the remnants of a hurricane. But we're going to try to start the night shift back. And they're leaving about 6:15 tonight.
You ever get tired of the chaos?
I don't. I like it.
You
Keeps me
seem like
busy.
you're a very organized person. in an unorganized type business.
I had a bit of a hard time getting adjusted to how unorganized it can be. But, you know, we've kind of managed and put some things in place where it seems to work a little bit better now.
So it's sort of organized chaos.
It can be. Because people call and they want 10 loads of gravel that afternoon, and they don't understand that you can't bring them 10 loads of gravel because you don't have trucks to do it. They're already booked because somebody called 3 days ago and booked them.
And the driver, you can't always have drivers. You can't expect them to stay that evening for 2 or 3 hours
Right.
unnotified too.
Right.
But when you have one of these good workers, if they knew what they were worth to us, we couldn't afford them.
I know it. That's true.
If they knew. You can't tell them, because then they'd know.
Well, and that's been a process too, you know. With everybody not wanting to work, you're having to pay those workers that mean a lot to you more so that they stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't.
I don't either. I've never seen anything like it before.
You'd think it would play out, but I think what's going to happen is people are going to get just tired of wanting something.
Well, are they?
I think they're just catching up from not getting what they, after the COVID and everybody was locked in, and now they're wanting that thing.
I don't know about you though, but I couldn't sit at home and do nothing. I would go crazy. And so, I mean, of course they're getting to stay home and get a paycheck, and that's probably great and all, but I just have this drive that I've got to be doing something all the time.
You have ADD?
I don't. I don't think so anyways. I'm not diagnosed.
I got the same problem. I'm a workaholic.
I mean, I just have to be doing something. If it's not with TriStar, it's with the commission, and if it's not with either of those two things, it's with my family, you know, driving my kids around to sporting events and stuff, so we're always on the go.
If it wasn't for the phones, you couldn't do all that.
No.
You'd have to stay. See, I remember building when you didn't have cell phones. You had to stay on the phone at night till 9 o'clock.
Setting up your day.
Setting up the day and setting up the next day. And this can't happen because that didn't happen.
I don't know, but I talked to some people and they wish that they could go back to that. They said that life was simpler because you knew exactly what you were going to do that next day, and nobody could call you and change course during the day. So was it better whenever you set it up like that?
No, they weren't any better. This is much better. You can
Okay.
text them and they can go right, you know. No, because if you thinking about, you know, digging the footing the next day and the backhoe guy's not called you, but you've got concrete set up.
Right.
What are you going to do? You cancel the concrete, he's not called back, maybe he's sick, maybe he quit. So with this, you can say, oh, the only thing that I think that it probably does is you take how much a worker stops, looks at his phone,
True.
calls people. They're always doing this. And I'm bad. I'll call a guy that's working at 11 o'clock. And I know that's taking him a minute. And then he answers another one. So I think probably the work progress has slowed down a little bit, but it's kept the evening calls and scheduling a little less. But we're getting maybe less done during the day, because you take everybody just stopping for a second and using the phone, that could be 45 minutes a day, not to mention stopping and starting.
I agree.
So I don't know, but we have to roll with the punches, don't we? Roll with the times.
Right.
You have any like group text that you're on with people? That's handy.
It is, and that's how I text my drivers in terms of jobs. So I group them together, and then we're on a group text message,
And everybody knows.
everybody knows exactly what time they're supposed to be there, their job number to punch in, and where they're going. So I have multiple group text messages.
And you got a record, sort of.
Right, right. And then that way they communicate with each other during the day. If, they're stopped and something's changing on the job, they'll use that particular group message and communicate with one another.
I have a maintenance group text, and if somebody calls for maintenance, then the girl here would group text it.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody will say, I'm close, or I'll get it, or I got it, or it's done. So you keep up with everything.
Right.
I mean, that's worth a lot.
It really is.
Unless you get the guy in there that says his phone won't do that.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then you'll get on those group text messages where they're working at night, though, and they're texting each other at 1:30, and I'm waking up thinking, oh my gosh, what's wrong? My phone's going off, and they're just chatting it up.
Yeah.
So
At least you know everything's okay.
Right, right.
So, do you ever think that being on the commission, what made you want to be on the commission?
Well, I've always loved politics. My grandparents were really involved in my life, and some of the best memories I have are sitting in front of the television with my grandparents watching Tom Brokaw, and my papa would be talking about politics and the president at the time, and so I just always loved it. We moved down Spring Place Road, and James and I would drive down, and we would talk about particular things, and I don't know, one day he said, you just need to run. If you're gonna talk about this or that, you just need to put your name in the hat. I said, all right, I think I'm gonna do that. So I picked up a petition and got my signatures and turned it in, and off I went.
How long have you been on the commission?
Let's see, I was elected in 2018, so we're about to start our election cycle again. So pick up for petitions is in December, and then you basically declare if you're running again in, I think, February of 2022.
Who did you run against?
I ran against Robert Rominger.
So was he already on it?
He was. He had been on there for a good long while. Great man, very, very kind.
Yeah.
The baseball field on Spring Place Road is actually, on Blue Springs Road is actually named after him.
Where does your district is what, 6th?
Mm-hmm.
Where is that?
So you've got McDonald, Valley View, Waterville, and Blue Springs.
How far do you go on McDonald going west?
So that's split between the 6th and the 1st. So it's going to go directly to the line, but then one side of the road is the 6th district, and then one side of the road is the 1st district.
The road being what? What road?
That would be US 11.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So we're about to do, not that this is going to affect the 6th district at all, but this year you'll start hearing about this. It's called redistricting. Based on the census, and so the whole county is going to look at each district and decide which ones are going to need to take in residents and which ones are going to need to give up based on the population growth in Bradley County.
Seems like it'd just be easier to leave it the same.
Well, but you're growing, and so those particular districts that have grown since the last census will have to take in the residents that they've kind of gained since the last.
So they have to move the line.
Correct.
Is that called gerrymandering? Is that what they call that, or is that?
I don't know.
That's where they move the line.
Right, right.
So what if you live right here and you're on the line and they do the census and now the line's there and you're not even in that district no more?
Well, and so
that could happen, I guess.
It absolutely can, and it's a process. And so we're about to have a redistricting meeting, and I'm actually on that committee. But it's a lot of work for Fran Green because she will have to notify that voter that they've now been redistricted. and then that voter will have to change their registration, and so everything will have to come out about what the process is in order for them to do that. But it's exciting to know that Bradley County is growing and that we're even going to have to do that.
They won't add commissioners, right? Just redistrict.
Correct. Correct.
What if we get so big they have to add another district? Is that possible?
I mean, I guess that's possible. I don't foresee that anytime soon, but you can vote to stay the same, which I'm assuming that's what we'll do, and we have 2 county commissioners per district right now.
So you could get so many population in the county that you have 7 districts, I guess,
Well, we have 7 now.
or 8.
I mean, I guess so.
And Fran decides that, or they have the meetings and.
The redistricting committee would, but currently we're not dealing with any type of situation like that.
Yeah.
Everything will stay the same. I
Yeah.
think a couple of districts will end up growing and they will gain some people, but that's it.
I guess if you didn't do that, the district that had the most people would be less represented.
Right.
I guess that's the idea.
We try to keep it as even as possible.
It's almost like the, what do they call that, the electoral college in a sense. It helps people be more represented somehow.
Right.
Do you like being on the county commission?
I do. It's been interesting.
Is it harder or easier than you thought?
I went into it expecting that it was going to be difficult to be a new commissioner. And, my goal was just to gain the respect of those other commissioners that had already been there in terms of working hard and trying to make a change. And I think that I've done a good job at that, especially with broadband. We've come a long way with that particular topic. But I have the opportunity to have, a lot of input because I'm on the finance committee, I'm on the law enforcement committee, and then I serve as the chairman of the SPCA board, which has been...
That's a biggie.
It is. But, it's kind of come full circle for me since my mom and I owned that pet bakery
Isn't that
and
funny?
boutique. I mean, I've always loved animals, and I've always loved helping people. So now I get to do both.
If you wanted to work on something full-time, the SPCA is what a person could do to work full-time. That's a big job.
Oh, it is. It takes a lot of time, yeah.
I'd be depressed if I worked over there,
Well,
seeing all the animals.
They've come a long way, and they have 2 ladies that are over there now that have a great vision, and they're gonna take it far. And we have partnered with the Community Foundation, and they're doing a crowdfunding campaign. Do you know what,
Is that Keith Barrett's wife?
Kathy?
Yeah.
Mhm. Do you know what crowdfunding is?
Yeah, that's where they try to get everybody to give money, right?
It is, but it's a very targeted campaign. I actually didn't know what crowdfunding was until I met with them. So it's targeting on social media, but then they're also kind of talking to people in the background about naming opportunities for a new center for the SPCA. So hopefully we'll announce sometime soon that we have some large donors that want to invest, and we can build them a new facility. Because have you been over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's the dog pound. Is that still there?
The dog pound. I mean,
Are
it's a center where they have a metal building is basically
But
where
that's the SP.
the SPCA is the county's version. Now we have a city version that's animal control. They have different
Which
philosophies.
is on High Street.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
That's where I got that cat out there.
Okay. So
It
the
was-
SPCA has a no-kill philosophy, and then the
But-
city kind of adopted a policy where they euthanize animals.
So if you're an animal in the city and you get picked up, the odds of you getting killed are greater than if you get picked up in the county because of SPCA.
Correct.
What about the ARC?
The ARC is privately funded, so I'm not exactly sure what their philosophy is, but if I'm just going off of memory, I do not believe that they euthanize animals at the ARC.
No, they look for people to
Adopt the
adopt
animals.
them. They'll run the ad in the newspaper.
Well, they all want you to adopt them. The city, the SPCA, and the ARC. I mean, I think the city would rather you adopt an animal than to euthanize it for sure. I'm not exactly sure what their policy about publicizing the animals that they have is, but the SPCA, we put them on Facebook, and then they have Pet Finder. They utilize social media in terms of trying to get those animals adopted.
Boy, if they had, how big of a facility would they have to have?
Well, we have a drawing. I don't exactly know the square footage of the current facility because we're having to modify what we were using in terms of showing the public, because we've now kind of changed our train of thought, and we're thinking about using the land that we are currently on instead of moving. We were hoping for a 10-acre land donation, but now we're thinking, okay, now if we don't get that, we have county land that we could lease from them, so the facility would more than likely be smaller than what we would build if we had somebody that wanted to donate 10 acres of land. The county land that we are currently on is just about 3 acres. So
Who pays for the food for the animals?
the county gives a specific amount for a contract, so that goes into the general fund. But a lot of the food comes from people that donate to the SPCA. We have some very loyal donations that come through in terms of food and bedding and just basic needs. They were getting some of their food from Peyton's, and so that has kind of changed because of COVID and things that have gone on over there. So we basically rely on donations for food.
What about these people that go buy a fancy pet when they could just go there and rescue one from the pound? That always bothered me.
I know. You know, my very first dog that I had whenever James and I got married was from a shelter. And you can't beat a shelter animal. They're so grateful that you have rescued them.
Every dog I've had was from the shelter.
Well, my current dog is not. We got him from a friend of ours, and he's a golden doodle. But, you know, shelter animals are amazing. I just like dogs and cats in general. And I guess you're a cat person. Are you not a dog person?
I'm a dog. I was vegetarian for 15 years
How in the
because of
world-
animals' rights.
How did you not eat meat?
It's very complicated, but but it's not that hard not to eat meat.
Listen, I've tried it. I think women try all kinds of different things. And so of course I thought, well, I'm gonna not eat meat and try to go on that
Well-
diet. I just did not feel well whenever I didn't eat
I
the
didn't
meat.
either. I didn't feel well. I finally quit because you just don't feel the same when
Right.
you're on a vegetarian. Maybe
You
I
don't.
didn't. And you don't know it till you start eating meat again.
Oh, I did. I just didn't feel like I could think correctly. I mean,
But so how do we sit here and talk about eating meat and talk about saving animals at the same time?
well,
Because it gets very confusing.
it
It's almost like we're
can.
two-faced.
I
That's-
don't necessarily feel like that. I mean, I enjoy eating meat, but I want to help save animals and make sure that they're not being treated inhumanely.
That's what I think. I had to convince myself that the meat I was eating was killed humanely.
Right.
That's why I think this Beyond Meat and that they've come out with now, I think it'll really take off if they ever get the taste right.
Yeah. So while I was not eating meat, I did try to eat some of those particular items, and
Impossible Burger, and
yes,
I've done all that.
It just didn't taste good.
There's something about meat that you have to have.
Right.
And I don't know what it is, but something about it you got to have.
Mm-hmm.
But all these people that work at the SPCA, are they all volunteer people?
No, we have several staff members that are there. Like I mentioned before, we have two ladies that just came in. One is a new operational director, and one is a animal care director. And then we have a transport director as well, because we do a lot of go north transports, because the facilities up north don't have as many animals in facilities for some reason, and so they take transfers and then they adopt the animals from those shelters.
Are they connected to this organization?
Well, you have kind of a network of people that do transports, so they're not necessarily connected with SPCA or Bradley County, but they're connected in the transport world.
That's nice though,
It really is.
to take on the problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How many animals would be there right now?
Summertime, so we're winding down for the summer, and the numbers usually get a little bit lower, but anywhere between 50 and 75 dogs, and then you've got cats as well, so 20, 30 cats.
So there's 100 animals sitting over there right now,
Mm-hmm.
in all that noise.
And all that noise. Needing a new facility.
Yeah. If you had 10 acres, how would they lay it out? Would it be a 10-acre building, or would they have like?
No, I think, of course, always, whenever you're building any organization, you hope that that organization continues to grow. So we would build a building in hopes that we could continue adding on additional facilities for the animals in Bradley County. You want dog runs, you want indoor, outdoor dog runs. You want a cat building and a play area for those cats. And
Why not just have 10 acres and chain link it?
I mean, you could do that.
I mean, that'd be better than nothing.
Right.
Do you ever have them bring you animals and you say, we can't take it, we can't take anymore?
Well, we've been at maximum capacity before, and what has to happen then is those animals that the owners are wanting to surrender have to go on a wait list, and then you try and have a big adoption event so that you clear out space so that you can take more. So it's a constant revolving door.
Now there was one veterinarian in town, Mr. Taylor. I think he would fix the animals where they couldn't at least have other animals.
Right. So all of the animals at the SPCA, once you adopt them, they're going to be spay and neutered.
Who pays for that?
We do.
How much does that cost?
It just depends on who we use. They've used Dixie Day, and so they'll work out a special price for the SPCA so that, we're not paying a lot
But it's
for that.
$20
Probably
anyway, 50.
so. Probably about $20, $25 an animal.
Well, that's its own problem, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How to solve that.
It is.
Who decided to have the SPCA in Cleveland or in Bradley County?
Oh my goodness. It was before I was on the commission. They decided to break away from the city. So the county used to contract the city